أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم نور قلوبنا واشرح صدورنا بنور القرآن والإيمان والإسلام وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah everyone is doing great, enjoying these trying times that we all having nowadays. No matter what background we are from, no matter what we believe, no matter what we do, what we like, what we don't like, times are trying, as they say. Maybe they are not trying, maybe they are showing something, maybe they are teaching us something. But inshallah, we will try to discuss a new topic today. As title suggests, it will be about gratitude, being thankful, appreciating something and enjoying something and acknowledging this enjoyment and then also expressing this enjoyment. So gratitude, this is what I understand in a nutshell. It's not just, liking something or being just thankful, but it's rather living it and expressing it somehow. And then there's also a subtitle which says, why things not getting any better? Although I do worship, I do believe, I do, try my best, really work hard. I'm, let's say, praying daily prayers, I'm fasting, I'm trying to memorize Quran. If I have, any means or any opportunity, I'm ready, or maybe I already gone for Hajj. So everything I need to do, I'm doing. But things are not getting any better. We can also, I guess, they ask a similar question that I'm in a situation which I think it's not best. I'm not in the best situation. And I see people that all around me are in better situation. Things could be better, much better. And I'm asking these better times, better conditions, better situation. I'm asking for them, but still they're not getting any better. I'm stuck with what I have in my hand, which is not as good as I wish. And when I look around, I see other people, they are in better shapes, they are in better situations, they are in under better conditions, they have better lives, maybe better families, better the relationships, better schools, better grades, better works, better salaries, higher salaries, more handsome husbands, taller children, whatever you can say. Everything, attract our attention, which doesn't belong to us. And I'm asking for them, and I think I'm asking for them in a proper way still. They are not getting any better. Even sometimes it's really bad. I have sometimes sickness, sometimes some anxieties, troubles, tribulations, stress. It's really trying sometimes. And in such moments, the feeling I have is being depressed, sometimes being annoyed. Why not? These questions fills my mind. So I'm trying to do it right, but it's not getting better. So before we start with Quranic wisdom, how it will help us in such situations, is there any, the comments that you like to make, any experience that you, or feelings that you like to share, which is related to, what I've been talking? Anything you can add, put in the plate so that, our meal will be even better? Just waiting a few seconds. Okay, if not, let's start with receiving some Quranic wisdom, inshallah, through lives of prophets. And today we will, I'm sorry for that, there's something wrong with my presentation. If you don't mind, I will try to correct it. Just a second, please. I sincerely apologize for that. I checked that it was correct, but interesting. Okay, it's better now, I guess. Again, sorry for the lag. And okay, inshallah, let's start. This is from Surah Ibrahim, as far as I remember, chapter 14. It should be Ibrahim. And we will read through the 4 verses, number 5, 6, 7, and 8. And as usual, I need a volunteer to read the Arabic. Maybe Abdurrahman, would you like to be our volunteer? It's forceful volunteer. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So read all of it?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا أن أخرج قومك من الظلمات إلى النور وذكرهم بأيام الله إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور وإذ قال موسى لقومه اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ أنجاكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب ويذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم وإذ تأذن ربكم لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم ولئن كفرتم إن عذابي لشديد وقال موسى I can't see the bottom too well. وقال موسى إن تكفروا أنتم ومن في الأرض جميعا فإن الله لغني حميد.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping us, even though there was some technical issue with the bottom line. Okay. So it goes as, and we certainly send Moses with our signs, bring out your people from darknesses into the light and remind them of the days of Allah. Indeed, in that are signs for everyone patient and grateful. And when Moses said to his people, remember the favor of Allah upon you when he saved you from the people of Pharaoh, who were afflicting you with the worst torment and were slaughtering your sons and keeping your females alive, or women alive. And in that was a great trial from your Lord. And when your Lord proclaimed, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you. But if you deny, indeed, my punishment is severe. And Moses said, if you should disbelieve, you and whoever is on the earth entirely, indeed, Allah is free of need, self-sufficient maybe, and praiseworthy. Okay, these are the verses that we like to study, that we like to understand. May Allah help us. May Allah make us understand them, inshallah. So let's start with your initial takes. When you read through these verses, what do they tell you? What is the first thing that attracts your attention? Please don't be shy, as usual. Be open. Okay, since people are shy today, they probably need some time to heat up their engine. So let's start with some initial comments from myself. Oh, so these verses that you can see, all of them somehow related to being grateful. Patient and grateful. So patient, as we take traditionally, for people who are saved from people of Pharaoh, who were afflicting you with the worst torment. In such situation, I guess the patience makes perfect sense, again, in the traditional sense. But when it comes to being grateful, it's not that clear, at least to me. Maybe I'm wrong. So after all, they are saved from, the people of Pharaoh. So if we need some historical background, it may, illuminate at least our ways, although we need to apply it to ourselves That's our usual approach, as you know, for now, until after all these weeks. So we like to see how this apply to us, and we will try to identify our Pharaoh, for instance, and the torment, slaughtering that we experience. But if you look at the little historical background, just again to get some example, we know that these people that are mentioned in the story as an element of the storytelling, they are saved from the Pharaoh. They are under the really great oppression, verse of the torment. Most of you already know the details, and they were saved from this torment. So Moses took them through the sea. Some people say river, through the water somehow, while drowning the people following them, and they were saved from their oppression. But they found themselves in a desert with no food or anything. But still, these verses talk about being in gratitude, and I can imagine in such the moment, it is not that easy being grateful. Maybe happy for a moment because we are saved. I am saved. But when I look at my situation, current situation, what I am in, and also what I've been through, all these oppression, torment, it's really hard to be grateful. Maybe feeling relieved, yes. So it is hard. But all these verses, putting this emphasis on being gratitude, being grateful, being grateful. So that's one thing. Would you like to add, subtract anything so far? Any comments, questions, agreement, disagreement? Yusuf, please go ahead.
Just to help you a little bit, maybe you want to take a breath. So I guess the case that is being explained in here is a tough situation. So yes, they are saved from the oppression of Pharaoh, but still they are now in the desert. So it's a favor to be saved from Pharaoh, but in the first place, they were being oppressed by Pharaoh. The creator is creating everything. So like things are getting a little bit tough, especially when I'm in the middle of it, right? I might say that, yeah, in the past, I managed to survive, let's say high school, college, whatever, something that used to be very tough for me. And it might be because, I don't know, for whatever reason, I might have been into a tough situation. And now I'm outside of the tough situation. But there is another relatively tough situation also. I am into this. And then Moses is being said that remind them of, or he's reminding people of how he was saved, how I am saved from such hardships. But it happens that we tend to ask this question, why is this happening to me? Like we are the people of belief, let's say. In this example, these are the followers of Moses. They are not like the people of Pharaoh. People of Pharaoh do not believe in the creator at all. And they are living in a nice life environment, whatever. But then the people of belief in this case are being tormented. Yeah, they are being saved slightly, but now still they are in the middle of desert. So these are the things that just comes as question to ourselves. Why is this happening to me? How shall I be? Well, people say definitely be patient with it, but how am I going to be patient with it? And forget about being thankful, because in here it's also on top of being patient, it's talking about being thankful for For what? For being in the desert? Okay, yeah, I thank you for taking me out of this, what's that, previous hardship. But still, this is another way of hardship. So I guess these sort of questions pops up in human mind. And I guess I need to find a way to find a convincing answer to that question. And as if this verse is saying that, uh, and talking about some sort of an enlightenment, which must provide me a way to find an answer that I can be content with which I can, in security, I can be thankful no matter where I am. Is it desert? Is it, I don't know, in the middle of a garden? But being thankful in both cases and being patient, being thankful. So I guess this is something hard. And I remember hearing this a lot, especially from students. One friend once said, for example, he said, well, I keep doing prayer, this and that, but I keep failing in my classes. So why is this happening to me then? So for what shall I be patient? For what shall I be thankful? These are the questions that keeps coming, I guess. So these are very human questions. So I guess hopefully these verses are shedding some light to those darkness that we might find ourselves ended up in.
Thank you. Let's go with Atik and then Abdurrahman, inshallah.
Alaikum. And so what stood out to me in these verses is that, Moses' people is facing, the problem or the terrible oppression, but Moses himself is not being sent primarily to alleviate them from their circumstances. He's sent to bring them out of darkness and into the light. And I think that to many of us that might seem counterintuitive. You see these people suffering, your first instinct might be to save them or help them get out of these terrible circumstances, right? They did nothing to deserve it. So I think what that signifies is that, taking the people out of the darkness and into the light takes precedent, priority over saving them from their external troubles in the eyes of Allah. And so we might, grapple with like an analogy that if you see, a group of refugees or something, from a war country, they did nothing to deserve this predicament. And what would your response be to a dawah group that would go in there to spread, Islam or tell these people to feel grateful for what they have, as opposed to some other group bringing in like medicine and food and water and whatever basic needs? You'd be like, what are you guys doing? You guys are, ignoring their basic needs and things. But according to these verses, that might be more important. So I think that's just something to think about.
That's a great point indeed. And this may also, sorry, this hardship, understanding these verses, the understanding the hardship, like a hardship in understanding the gratitude in such an the situation, may also explain the violence we see in the geographies, where the so-called the Islamic culture is dominant. The Atik was giving this nice example of the group of people who are going somewhere for dawah, and what we hear from such people usually, I'm not talking about, I'm not accusing anyone, of course, but in general we see such people using these more lower level instincts, the feelings of the people, and saying that as a Muslim you've been tortured, or as a people you've been tortured, for instance, black people, you've been oppressed, and Islam will save you, and so you shouldn't the raise, you should fight against your oppressors, so on and so forth. And we see this violence out of this is flourished. But it's interesting, such verses and in Quran, what is suggested instead is gratitude. So somehow you should be able to go, if you are, a dawa person, you should be able to somehow go to people who are suffering in a war and tell them that they should be grateful and show them what they should be grateful for. This is the methodology of Quran, at least. So that's interesting. It's really hard. Abdurrahman, would you like to go ahead? I see your hand raised this time.
Yeah, I mean, I decided I might as well comment. So I just have questions similar to what has been said, but when I read this idea that here it says bring out this. Yes, I will try to speak louder. I don't know why my mic is this loud, but this idea that it says bring out your people from darknesses into the light. It's not one darkness, it's multiple darknesses and into the light, and remind them of the days of Allah. What this emphasizes a past, something is happening in the past. Remind how Allah has given you bounty maybe in the past. And I'm just interested because it's saying that there's currently darknesses and bring them into the light, but how do you bring them in the light? Maybe, and it's saying remind them of the days of Allah. And I'm like, remembering the past, sure, it's a nice thing, but it doesn't solve my present problems. So I was curious about that. Like, how is that a solution? How will that be bringing them into the light? And it's saying be patient and grateful, and like as I said before, like remembering the favor and seeing what God has granted you before. Definitely, you can be grateful for those, and you can feel very thankful for those. But how is that gratefulness supposed to now come to my current affliction? And how can just remembering the past help me in the present?
Thank you. Very great points indeed. So I believe we somehow, grasp these main problem issue, the conflict between a tribulation, a trouble, and feeling gratitude. So let's see how Quran resolves this issue. How Quran offer us being grateful and patient as a solution to our problems, as a guidance. This is what Quran is, after all, right? A guidance for muttaqin. And let's try to get guidance, but Yusuf raised hand. Let's start with him.
Very briefly. So I guess if you can show me a reason to be thankful in there, I guess I'm going to be content, because something to be thankful means I enjoy it. I like it. But the problem is I dislike the situation. So what Quran is saying that you should be thankful, which also implies that this is something to be thanked for. You should be happy with it, actually. So if you can show me that it's something good and something to be really thanked for, I will definitely like it. It's not going to be like forcedly I am thanking to someone, or by just forcedly I am being patient, but rather like being patient to, let's say you are being patient for a baby to come into the world for 9 months, but it's not a patience which is and I'm just going to do it, but I'm just grinding my teeth. It's not this sort of a patience. It's like a sweet patience. Or being thankful, yeah, somebody might be saying that, just pointing gun to me and saying that thank to this other person. I mean, from outside of mouth, I can say, okay, thank you, but then it's not really being thankful. So I guess if these verses are going to show me that indeed this is something beautiful, So this is why you are going to be thankful for it. Then I will love it, and lovingly I will be thankful. So I guess this sort of a conversion is what I'm after here.
Thank you. Great summary, great point, and also a goal. So let's start with very beginning, from the very beginning. And we certainly sent Moses with our signs, bring out your people from darknesses into the light, and remind them of the days of Allah. Indeed, there are signs for everyone, patient and grateful. So this phrase, days of Allah, it's very interesting. So, you know, a little search shows you that most of the scholars, let's say some of the scholars, many of the scholars, take this as simply as dramatic moments, and especially the most dramatic ones, like Day of Judgment, for instance, or days of trials, days of, you know, the glory, moments of failure, such dramatic moments in life. And it makes perfect sense. Remind them of the days of Allah. You can take this as both as good news, and saying that, okay, you remember all these moments of glory, more to come. But also you can take this as, you know, watch your step, because days of Allah is coming. And both, again, personally speaking, make sense. I need both from time to time. But we know from Quran, when something is attributed from God, Allah, it's usually kulli shayin. It's not some of the days, for instance, but it's usually kulli, the all, whole, without any exception, goes to Allah. So he is, for instance, not very good seeing. He is the all seeing. He's not, you know, they have power of most of the things. He has power over everything. Everything, which is also, you know, including everything that you can imagine and you cannot imagine. So I guess we can apply the same logic of Quran here and say that when we see that, remind them of the days of Allah, it also has a sense, again, in addition to what all the scholars rightfully suggest, there is another sense here saying that remind them of the days of Allah. Like you can, I guess, say that the emphasis here is in Allah. So days, whatever you go through, whatever you experience, it's a day of Allah. It's not day of your boss or your pharaoh or the tyrant people oppressing you, or it's not the creation of Satan, evil or bad people. It is day of Allah. It's a day of Allah. So what does it mean? It means it was designed by him, controlled by him, managed by him, realized by him, being run by him, and being created constantly, being created by him. So whatever you experience, it's coming from Allah. And this is the reminder, Quran says, that will bring you out of darkness. So that's really interesting. It's kind of a recipe for light out of darkness, reaching the light from darkness. The Quran says, according to this verse, at least the way I understand what is, you know, revealed to me, let's say, is that when I have darkness in my life, It is because I'm attributing whatever in front of me, whatever I experience at the moment, to someone, to something other than Allah. And the revelation in this narration is represented by Moses, but the revelation in general, revelation that I read, the revelation that I hear, for instance, that I read Quran, I hear interpretation of a prophet from people, whatever. The revelation as I am interacting with tells me that this darkness is there because you're attributing what is in front of you to something, someone other than Allah. But if you do the right thing and you realize, if you remind, if you and reminded, if you remember that the days are Him and no one else. It is days of Allah you are going through. The tribulation, it is days of Allah you are going through. Enjoyment, it is days of Allah you are going through. It is under His control. And this understanding, verse says, will take you out of darkness into light. This is at least what I understand. And the rest of the verse says, indeed, in that are signs for everyone, patient and grateful. So this is, I guess, very related to the previous one. It says, even if you are going through tribulation, remember that He is in control. If you don't see it right away, be patient. What does it mean? Don't, wait and say that, oh, I don't know, Allah knows, I should wait doing nothing. This is not being patient. This is being just lazy. Being patient means, okay, I'm a limited person. I know whatever I am revealed to. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. We know only whatever you, taught us. And currently I cannot, get out of the box. So obviously I don't know something, but I will ask for it. So I will try to understand it. I will try to see if there is a wisdom or not. I will be open to the possibility of wisdom there. And if it will be revealed to me, it will be revealed to me. Otherwise, I will have my questions to be resolved. So you cannot, say that, I don't see any wisdom here, but I still believe that there's a wisdom. Being patient means, at least to me, trying to find the wisdom, if there is any, when you don't see it at the first sight. Striving for it. Trying to analyze the situation. This is being patient. And if you cannot find anything, this doubt will stay with you. And then grateful, it says, and I guess being grateful is, at the first at least, it's related to in situations where you can see the wisdom at the first sight. So the verse says, whether you see it at the first sight or not, search for it. Try to see how everything is under His control. How everything is under control of all merciful one. This is also interesting. There's an interesting detail at the very end. So my knowledge of the language is so limited. So whatever I say, please take it with a not grain of salt, maybe a bowl of salt. But the last part, saberin shukurin. So this phrase, this form, it also suggests that being patient and grateful at the same time. It's like patient while being grateful, grateful while being patient. So it suggests the relationship between the two. So anyway, so when I take it that way, with the emphasis of days of Allah, that everything is under His control, I guess the recipe or the solution becomes, at least starts to become clearer, right? So even if you are under tribulation, don't forget that it is not days of Satan or bad people or yours. It is His days. So look for the wisdom, look for the mercy. Don't forget it's coming from your sustainer. So there's a comment from Yusuf, I missed it before, sorry for that. He says He's the owner of time. That is, everything that is being created belongs to Him. Days are His, he says, Alhamdulillah. And then he adds, when I was saying that it's not days of bad people, days of Satan, he adds the two important other options as well. It is not days of chance that I'm unlucky, such an unlucky person I am. All these bad things happen to me. I'm so unlucky that my family is so poor and I was, born into such a poor family. I am so unlucky that I was born in such a geography in which people are not intellectuals or, the certain characteristics. I'm so unlucky. Or it's not the days of nature, natural forces that, that was expected, because that happened in that part of the world. So it was expected it would strike us as well. Oh, all these volatile markets and the, financial crisis happened in Vietnam. Now it will, Israel. Yes. It will affect us as well. So the Quran says, no, it's days of Allah. Everything is by me. See this and you will have your light out of darkness. Any comments, any questions so far? Yusuf, please go ahead.
Although the way you explained very beautifully put it, I just want to highlight one point that is more clear maybe in the original language, but in the translation it might get lost. So in the verse, when if you can go back, when it says وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَخْرِجُوا قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. So there's this wa, which is being translated as and remind them of days of Allah. So this wa in Arabic can get into several different shapes, different meanings. So the translator in here takes it simply as and. But the way you were explaining, which I think makes a lot of sense, is bring your people from darkness to light by, or by can be one way to take it, or we can take it as I mean, which means remind them of days of Allah.
Yani in Arabic, right?
Yani in Arabic, yes. So So then that means, what is the means for bringing your people from darkness to light is reminding them that what they call as a day, which is time, which is creation or existence 24/7, right? It belongs to the creator. Let it be under the pressure of a tyrant, let it be over red carpet. It's all about him giving you this life, this existence. So it's not, as you said, by chance, by, I don't know, this external forces, like all those conspiracy theories that you can think in political circles or within your own life, as if everybody is my enemy, my teacher doesn't want me to succeed, or this and that, any sort of excuses that I find myself, which depicts a chaotic world around me. This person is saying that there's no chaotic world around you. Whatever you live through is being created by Allah. So days belong to Him. And then inna fi dhalika al-ayatin likulli sabarin shakur. Within this point, actually, there is those signs for those who are patient and thankful. Within this understanding, I'm going to find what is to be thanked for. And if I'm going to be patient, I'm going to be patient as in I am patient for finishing the school. Like it's a curriculum. I go through it step by step. It's not that I'm getting bored to do it. No, the learning is a process and I take it.
And when you do so, there are signs. The signs are open to you when you realize that, there must be someone, there must be something that is in control, and you are patient and grateful. You are patient with gratefulness to see the wisdom in what happens to you. Then the signs start opening to you. Mohammed Said, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for all the comments. In one of the translation here, I saw the patience, sabr, is translated as being steadfast. I wanted to share that kind of additional meaning to patience, as being steadfast is preferable, I feel, versus easily giving up and finding myself in lost. So in that sense, the days, if I see, if I am aware of the reality that, as it was said beautifully, that the whatever in time, whatever there is in time, in my experience, there are nothing from themselves. They are all being brought into existence by the will of the creator, knowingly, purposefully. That base gives me the spirit to be steadfast, to wait for the ending, the beautiful end of the action of an absolute will, of an absolute care and kindness. And it really makes sense there. I have this image in my mind that there is a human being, and there is the creator of the universe treating this human being. And in one occasion, if the human being is forgetting his reality, that he is in the hands of the owner of the universe, no matter what comes, it's kind of inevitable to have an end to it, in the perception of that human being, because things are happening and then going. We don't know where they are going to. They are passing. I am passing, and there's no connection with the source of the things. It's really it feels like it is impossible to be steadfast in life with a real hope, and for a greater um, kind of aspect of this world, the greater aspect, which means like a window that is opened, that can be opened to an eternal acknowledging an eternal quality. So if that is cut off, it's really easy to be in hopelessness. So then it means like I am being guided for that purpose, to be able to connect in everything. And as you beautifully said, that if it is not clear to me, I am now able to accept it, that I am not clear and I don't know, but I know that the creator of the universe doesn't forget me. I am in the hands of him, and it becomes a really nice fresh spirit for human being to be expecting the good ending of his experience with an acknowledgement, with the treatment of his Lord. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very, really beautiful. So steadfast instead of patient. And it continues. It says, when Moses said to his people, remember the favor of Allah upon you when he saved you from the people of Pharaoh, who were afflicting you with the worst torment and were slaughtering your sons and keeping your women, females alive. And in that was a great trial from your Lord. So again, trying to take it for our lives, and it's obvious that nobody is slaughtering my son. I don't have any son. I don't know about the other people. I know Muhammad has two sons. Alhamdulillah. Nobody, as far as I know, trying to slaughter them. Nobody trying to keep our women, females, in our case, alive for their benefit. So how am I going to understand this? And also, I don't have a Pharaoh, right, in my life. Or maybe I do have a Pharaoh, and maybe the people, somebody, some people slaughtering one part of me while keeping some other part of me, in which, like in this narration, all these represented by sons or women. From an historical perspective, it makes sense. We know that the Pharaoh, the persona, whoever he was slaughtering the boys and keeping just the girls. Kind of interesting, kind of, the control over people, so that he may be able to govern them while not allowing any resistance, so on and so forth. But from my perspective, when I try to apply to my life, so at least to me, it's not that hard to see the Pharaoh. That in most of my life, I feel this oppression, sometimes from outside, sometimes from inside. I see this oppression, it changes. The example, I guess, examples change from people to people. Sometimes it's our boss, sometimes the system that we are in, Sometimes it's government, sometimes it's our partner, sometimes our parents, sometimes our children, or bad people outside, all these bad countries trying to attack Muslim countries. We have our pharaohs. And I guess, so one way to understand this, the slaughtering of sons while keeping females alive, of women alive. So in my life, for instance, when I interact with this system that I am born into, this the system of consumption, this system of consumerization, I don't know how to say.
Consumerism.
Yes, consumerism. The system of productivity, quote unquote. System of success, in other quotes. It does tell me that there are some things in you that you should keep. Like, because you are a talented person, you are hardworking, work harder. That, you know, you are a good citizen, be a better citizen. So there are some parts that being kept there. My productivity, for instance, my hardworking, my, let's say, being creative, being, I don't know, intelligent, whatever. Or being a great artist. Serving the society, serving to financial system, serving to consumerism. But there are some other parts that, for instance, I can think, like I can question, let's say. I question that, you know what, I don't like this. There's something missing here. They say, oh, no, this is stupid. This is unhealthy. Let's slaughter it. Don't keep it with you. Maybe a few, because, you know, as much as it is useful for our purposes, for your creativity or for productivity, you can be doubtful from time to time, but not that much. Don't resist. The part in you which, you know, resists, it's not welcome. So slaughter this part, keep the other parts alive, which is, you know, good for the rest. This is one way to take it, I guess. And now this is an external way of seeing how I, you know, experience life. And Quran says, this is the way you experience life, right? I say, yes, there's a pharaoh. And it says, I saved you from that. How you saved me from that? Remember, it is days of Allah. Whatever you are experiencing, it is from Allah. It's not from Pharaoh. But then wait a second, what happened? All these, you know, the comments that I made, you know, they slaughtering my one part, keeping other parts alive. What happened to that? Oh, it's also from Allah. Your nafs, which Atik nicely put in the comment. Atik, would you like to translate it for everyone, for us, including myself? And then maybe open up just a little bit if you like.
Translate the phrase.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, they're just saying, inni zalamtu nafsi, so verily or indeed I have oppressed myself. Yeah, where yourself is like your being, your essence, that sort of thing.
Thank you. So yes, sometimes we make zulm, oppress ourselves, or sometimes our nafs, our soul, oppresses us. But anyway, we've been through these tribulations. At the first side, when we first experienced them, we said we are being oppressed, which is true. From the oppressor's side, there's definitely oppression. Like these verses are not to save Pharaoh. So please, whatever I say, don't take them as, when you are under oppression, just be patient, don't do anything. This is just opposite of what Quran suggests. When you see injustice, you have to act. If you can act by, hand, act by hand. Otherwise, at least inside, be against it. Don't support it. Right? This is what is suggested. But what I'm saying here is the way we take things, how we interpret them. Yes, from the Pharaoh side, from the side of the person or people or the system, whatever you call, that oppresses me, there is an oppression, it has to end. If it needs a punishment should be there. But from our side, how we see things, whether we see all this experience, including our punishment of the Pharaoh, if necessary, as coming from Allah or not, as a training or not. A training, where does it come from? It's from a great trial from your Lord. At the very end of the verse, the Quran says, min rabbikum bala, bala'un min rabbikum azim. Bala, training, trial, examination, or deep experience. It also means, knowing something from a long experience, knowing something, really knowing something, true experience and very intense experience, right? So true trial, examination from your Lord. Again, from your Lord. Whatever happens, including this oppression, is from your Lord. So yes, some part of you is being slaughtered. It was designed for you. Your ego, your nafs, your soul was oppressed. And even in that, there's a higher, there's a goodness for you. And this is actually, like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. This is what I experienced at first hand. Whenever I feel oppressed, yes, one part, I fight against injustice. That's one thing, again. But on the second hand, I see that there's a wisdom that I am being through this oppression. After this experience, I realized that I'm becoming more humble. My ego being, shaved out. The thing as I used to call as dignity, as I realized part of it was arrogance. It is shaved out, it is discarded, and what is left is true dignity now. So some parts of me was slaughtered. And the rest, which is good for me, which is, represented in this verse as women, females, whatever, what is good for me, what is in service for me, was kept alive. For the oppressor, he or she thinks, he kept alive this side because, it was for his benefit. But I now see that this design, what I'm going through, this examination, After that, what is left for me? It is better for me. My better side is left with me. You know, don't listen all these storytellings outside which says after all such examinations or such trial tribulation, people becomes worse. If you attribute things, if you attribute days to other than Allah, to false gods, false idols, you still stay in darkness, maybe in intense darkness. And this is what is suggested in the next verse. If you are grateful, if you see it's days of Allah, I will surely increase you. After this experience, you will be increased. What you don't need, what is extra weight on your shoulder, will be shaved out, will be cleared out. And what is left for you? It is your benefit. You will be increased. But if you deny, if you attribute things, what you go through, to the Pharaoh, to the system, to the government, to the bad people, then azab, this, you can take it as punishment, you can take it as a bitter taste. It's severe. You will be a worse person. So Birkan, you are saying that women are better than men. So there are different ways of course, approaching the verses. This is partly, at least, what I see in this verse. It's just a representation, of course. Not these verses is not trying to say is one, the sex is better than the other. It's just a representation. But there's also another detail in the verses. What saves me at the end, it is this instance of what is slaughtered. The Moses was one of these sons who were supposed to be slaughtered, but through revelation, it saves me. So still it is, to your question, I think, joke, of course, joking, it is still the part which, need to be cut out, maybe my ego, to the extent it gives me news from my sustainer, it carries me the revelation, then it is my savior. Otherwise, it has to be cut out. And I guess this is all from my side, overall, what I understand from these verses. So maybe just to conclude before giving mic to Yusuf for his beautiful comments, I would say the verses overall tells me that everything you go through is a trial, is an education, is an examination, but it's not in the sense that, I'm testing you. It's rather to make you learn something, like examination we go through in schools, to make you know something in the real sense, through experience, not through, from books or hearing from others, through experience, the real knowledge. And everything is coming from him. Don't forget that. When you realize it's days of Allah, you will take whatever you are being through as his examination, his trial, his teaching. And then you will realize that even the oppression you are being through, it's shaping you to make you, to give you a better shape. And the gratitude will be there. And if you follow this path, you will surely increase. Your understanding of the things will increase. You will understand, you will realize how everything is under his control. even these trying times. And this will give you relief. This will give you enlightenment, if you can say. So Yusuf, let's go with you.
Yeah, so I guess if we take with the story to Atik's point, so yes, Pharaoh was taking the children of Israel as a minority, but they were growing in numbers, which becomes a threat for his government. So what is the source? What might cause him problem is if they become more in numbers in terms of men, which represents power, it's going to threat his governing. So what he does is he chops off half the population of males because he wants to make the population survive somewhat, but doesn't want to get it strong. And this is also the understanding of children of Israel. They are being kept in low numbers, so they have to suffer. Because if they were stronger, if they had more males, strong people, one day they would become strong enough to make a coup and or form their own government, something like this. We always rely on power, but this was not happening. Actually, this is what the creator was showing them. You were thinking that you will be saved by being stronger, but this is what you were being trained at that moment. The power that you were thinking of didn't come from strong men in terms of numbers, but it came from a man who holds revelation in his hand. So the strength was coming in terms of their establishing the relationship between themselves and the creator. And I guess this education part is really important. So because as the picture that we have been drawing so far, it is that the purpose of this existence is for me to learn, to read in a sense, if we think about the first revelation also. But this is also very much related to, okay, I learn, but what will happen? I die and everything disappears. This is very much also tied with an afterlife, a life which never ends actually, because death is not end. This is why afterlife is one of the major uh, points of Quran and Revelation in general. So me being in this existence is not for living my daily life, enjoy the moment and let it go. If it was, then it is the darkness itself, right? But what the picture that you have been drawing so far is, uh, I am observing that this existence is telling me about my maker, my purpose in this existence, and I am in training in here with which an eternal, endless life awaits me. So my real enlightenment becomes apparent to me once I achieve that. The giver of life is eternal, and he promises to give me an eternal life. And I can confirm this also when I am in this world. This news of an eternal life is what really going to enlighten me, going to save me from this darkness. So this shift of perspective from living the moment and things are attacking me, government or this and that, everybody is or my chance or nature, whatever, shifting the perspective from this to no, every moment is being owned and created by the all-knowing one. And the all-knowing one is eternal and promises me an eternal life. And I am being trained in here, if you like, to take a degree to enjoy this eternal happiness. This is the main gist of me being in here. Then the whole picture changes. Everything changes so much so that I start being thankful. I start enjoying the training in all its shades, because now I know that it is for training me to a point. And this is actually what I see when I look at my daughter, little daughter. She's playing with her, let's say, this teddy bear. She just hugs it so lovingly with just, she crushes her teeth. She's showing love. I say, well, How am I different than this daughter, this little girl? I am going and buying bread, coming home. It's just, we call it real life, but it is sort of another way of playing, as if. But she is being trained. My daughter is being trained for what I call as real life. She is going to, inshallah, become older. She's going to have little sons and daughters for herself. This is what her training with her teddy bear is for. How about my training with my daughter? What is it for? So this training is for an eternal life. If I take it as such, then everything changes. Otherwise, it's just torture. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Very beautiful comments. So I was planning to conclude the discussion after Yusuf, but there are very important questions, comments in chat box. So I need to read. I feel obliged to read them and try to maybe address to the extent I can, or maybe some others can do it better. Please go ahead. So there are many, but there are, I guess, some of them are just contributions to what is being said. There are two of them if you don't mind, I will read. One from Ahnaf Aram. Wait, I couldn't catch that. What will give me enlightenment during times of trial? Oh, so Ahnaf, this is the way I understand, at least. It is related to what we studied in the first verse when it says, remind them of the days of Allah. We took this, at least as a suggestion, we took this as not only remarkable moments like the days, the afterlife, or the days of judgment, but we took it as it's a reminder that everything, all days belong to Allah. So whatever you go through, it's from Allah. And this verse tells us that when you have this understanding, when you attribute everything you go through to Allah rather than other people, rather than oppressors, rather than bad people, but to Allah, then this will bring you, take you from darkness into light. And how it's a realization that everything is under His control. And when I say He is the most merciful one, as you experience it. You look at the creation and you see nothing but mercy. You see creation and you see nothing but wisdom. You look at the creation and you see nothing but compassion, love, and power. And when everything comes from all seeing, all knowing, you look for the wisdom in it, whatever happens to you. But if you attribute whatever happens to you to oppressors, saying that, oh, these bad people created this bad situation for me, then you find yourself in the darkness, because there's nothing that you can do. You can try to kill him or change him, or you can try to change the system. You can try to change the creation, entire creation, but you know that you will fail. At least when you look at around, this is what you're going to see. When you try to attribute things to the people, other countries, you will see that you, as a believer, always fail. But when you attribute things to Allah, when you realize that it is days of Allah, not days of Satan or chance or nature forces, then you realize that everything is under His control. And you really see that the bad experience you have as a trial, as an education that you go through. And you try to see the wisdom in it. And I was giving just some example, saying that, when I look at myself, my personal experiences, when I feel under oppression, I realize that this oppression, again, one side is injustice. You have to act, you have to fight. Again, I am, for fight against injustice as a, my personal choice. But on the other side, you see that this oppression is being created for you as an education, and it shapes you in a better form. It works for you because it's from Allah. So that what I meant, from Abdurrahman, he says, it seems that education revolves around negative reinforcement. To be honest, when I read these verses, I take it somehow the other way around and see it as a reminder saying that if Birkan, if you follow this path, if you realize, if you remember true revelation, that it is days of Allah, then more barakah, increase, will find you. And you will experience this. You will find the wisdom there, and it will carry you to the next step. So darkness comes with your denial. I mean, look at the verses. It says, if you deny, if you cover, kafara, right? Let me check. I don't want to be wrong. Kafartum. Yes. If instead, if you deny, you cover the truth, it's like, turning off the light, darkness awaits you. So I wouldn't call it as a negative reinforcement. I would call it as, I don't know how to say, but if you turn off the light, there is nothing but darkness. And alhamdulillah, you have eyes to realize that darkness. So anyway, and I guess this is all. Atik also has a final comment. He says, if I was in a class and was constantly failing the exams, I would drop the class. This may be related to this positive, negative reinforcement too, a thing. So I think if you like to open up your comment.
That was about interpreting every event as a trial from our Lord. So I'm saying that I'm always failing. So it'd be easier if I just dropped the class. It's a dark humor.
Okay, I see. Okay, let's not go to that part, inshallah. So any concluding comments? I'm sorry for taking your extra time, but I thought these comments were really important. Any final comments, concluding remarks, maybe question for next week? Okay, let's conclude inshallah then. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. الفاتحة.